I'm an administrator, and it really is the application of the law. And with the background that I have, having worked in the Secretary of State's office, practiced election law for 13 years, served on a board of elections, and served as a judge, and the fact that I actually wanted this job, I think that it's been borne out in the courts that the way that I've been administering and applying the law is correct.
But do you think that these lawsuits are aimed at voter suppression, which is one of your bullet points in your memo here today?
I think what you get is sort of this tension, and you see it in the construction of the boards of elections, where there are equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans, but Democrats appear to be more concerned about voter suppression, while Republicans appear to be more concerned about voter fraud. And so, as record numbers of voters are expected to vote, the Republican side raises the specter of fear that there's going to be voter fraud, without really talking about the distinctions that we've been addressing today. And when Republicans say, here are all these reasons why you can't vote, Democrats seem to be, or we're going to investigate these particular voters just because we don't agree with the fact that they were able to vote. You'll hear Democrats then talk about voter suppression. So I stand in the middle and try to take whatever nuggets of truth I can get from each side and run straight down the line and try to make sure that the people that I'm working for are the voters.
What is your view of the Greene County authorities attempting to get all the records of the same-day registration voters?
I was very concerned when I saw that, and I'm very pleased that the county sheriff and the county prosecutor have dropped their investigation.
Concern for what reason? Do you think that crosses the line into voter suppression? I mean, I'll just ask it right now.
Well, because there were no allegations of fraud, so it looked like a fishing expedition to me.
One of the just to make sure I've got this, anything that comes back that's mismatched, okay, and say the person goes ahead and they're somehow maybe they were the same day voter, you know, in that window, so they actually got to vote on the same day, but it came back mismatched. Those will be flagged. Those will be set aside.
Those are already flagged.
Okay.
Those are, if you're talking about the database, once we do the check, if there is a mismatch, that record is flagged. But initially, because we're trying to provide every safeguard that we can, we said, number one, the Board of Elections, if someone during that window, if someone registers and the board just has real questions about their eligibility, they do not have to give them an absentee ballot right on the spot. In fact, the directive was to order boards to develop policies for how they were going to handle this in the counties. The second thing is that if they do give the voter a ballot, and this is, of course, the time period's gone now because they've done that, and if they do give the voter a ballot, it has to be on paper, even if they're voting on DREs for other early voting at the Board of Elections, and they have to segregate those ballots so that they know that those ballots were voted by these overlap voters, which, by the way, totaled 13,141 here in the state of Ohio. We did collect that information from the board, so that is that's about 1,600% of 8.2 million registered voters.
What's the number again?
13,141 total statewide.
Same day?
Same day.
And at the end, when the ballots are counted, if there are people who, through the same-day registration, have been allowed to vote and their ballot has been flagged and it is mismatched, you're saying that federal law says the mismatch alone cannot be used as a basis for eliminating that vote, but those will be pulled aside so that if there's some sort of court challenge, or if there's if the vote is close, that those can be gone back over with the fine tooth.
No, I never said they'd be pulled aside.
I thought you said
no. Only the ones I'm talking about are anyone who votes, who registers and votes on the same day during that 5 to 7 day window. Their ballots are voted on paper and they're segregated.
Okay.
But we anticipate that the boards of elections, by the time we get to the point where they can begin processing absentee ballots, would have any concerns about eligibility resolved. And when you think about it, when a person shows up to vote on election day, you have them, you have their ID, you have their ballot, and if there are any questions, they're right there for you to ask questions of. And the real issue is going to be, once their name is entered into the database and the confirmation notice is sent to them, number one, if that notice comes back, we know that there's potentially a problem. Or number two, if we see that they're already registered to vote in some other county, what's going to happen is the boards do call each other, and they're going to say, okay, he was already in Delaware County. Before we actually count his vote, let's make sure he didn't actually vote in Delaware County. And so that's even without the matching of the databases, because what happens initially on a match is that our office matches it with other names that are similar in the database to allow the board to determine if this person has actually moved. And it should show up on the registration form what their prior registration was. But if it's the first time they've registered to vote and we see them appearing in some other county, then that is a flag for us that perhaps they were trying to vote in two counties. Now, the penalty for illegal voting is a 4th-degree felony, which is 6 to 18 months in prison and or a $5,000 fine. I don't know a lot of people who would find value in having one extra vote that would equal that type of a consequence. And I think as a judge, I never in nearly 5 years had a case of election fraud in front of me on a criminal case. But I understand from the state sentencing laws that that would be considered a serious offense. And if you saw what happened in Cuyahoga County with the 2 election workers who were both convicted and sentenced to 4th-degree felonies, the judge sentenced them to the maximum 18 months in prison, which is what prompted me to deal with the Cuyahoga County Board in March when we did.